Today we're joined by the talented Danny Wilson, the founder of MotorWitch Industries and a born-free invited builder. Danny's mastery in Harley-Davidson engines is built on over 30 years of experience, including stints as a Harley-Davidson master tech and international trainer. With the launch of MotorWitch Industries, he's unified his previous experience to offer premium builds and service under one roof, bringing fearless engineering and personal connection back to Harley performance.
I have always focused on function. Like I've always been the make it fast, make it reliable, make it handle correctly, stop correctly. I've never been into big wheels. I've never been into goofy paint jobs. And that's probably why I don't really have a whole bunch of awards on the wall either, because I don't care if you like it or not.
Welcome to the One Gang Worldwide podcast, your ultimate ride into the world of motorcycles. Visit cyclesworldwide.com, where we offer a completely free marketplace for everything motorcycles. Join our One Gang community where you can connect, share info, and swap stories with riders from all over the world. Join for free at cyclesworldwide.com and be a part of the One Gang community right now. Welcome to the show. Today we've got an awesome man, Danny Wilson of MotorWitch Industries, an incredible builder, talented man. We're excited to have you. We're looking forward to this show. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Danny, thanks, brother. Thanks for coming on, man. As we do all our shows, we kind of kick it back to your early childhood. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Southern California, Orange County, to be specific.
Oh, okay.
Really not too far from Born Free. When I was a kid, there was fuck all of nothing out there. But the area is growing. I grew up in a canyon, actually, right there in that series of canyons by Born Free.
Cool. What was some of the early interests before motorcycles warped your mind?
I grew up in a family of basically all mechanics of some sort or musicians.
Oh, wow.
So both my parents are musicians. It's pretty much always been either playing music or cars and motorcycles.
Nice. What were you playing? Were you playing instruments at an early age?
Yeah, I played drums. So
Killer.
I was the drummer in the band.
Oh, you had a family band?
Yeah, I've been in a bunch of bands, but yeah, my parents and I were a band together.
That's fucking cool as hell, man. That's really cool.
So what first drew you to motorcycles? Was it friends, family, or something deeper?
Family. My mom's father rode, and my mom's mother rode. My dad rode. My mom rode. My mom actually broke her back on a dirt bike when I was 3 months old. So,
oh, jeez.
It was kind of a motorcycle family.
Yeah. Broke her neck. Your mom broke her neck broke her back when you were 3 months old.
Yeah. So that's probably why I was the only kid that had to put steel rods in her back. So,
jeez, she couldn't wait to get back on the bike. That's crazy.
Yeah.
See what you did to her, bro? When you were inside the belly, man. You got her jumping fucking Evel Knievel style, man.
Yeah.
So Danny, do you remember the first bike that you built or even just wrenched on?
I remember fooling on people's, motorcycles as a kid, stuff in the family. First one I did for me was a jockey shift shovel head that I rode.
Nice.
The first thing I had. So,
how old are you at this time?
45.
No, not now. When you did the jockey shift when you were a kid.
Oh, I was 16.
16. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
California at that time, you could get a motorcycle license when you were 16 if you passed the test. So,
right on. So were you riding dirt bikes and stuff when you were younger?
A little bit. We didn't have my dad had a couple dirt bikes. I was too small to ride them. But yeah, I did ride dirt bikes. I just didn't get super into it like a lot of other guys in the industry did. I was kind of stuck on the street more than anything else.
Right on. I was curious. Your mom said absolutely not after she got messed up when you were a baby.
No, I mean, she continued to ride, and my dad continued to ride, and I started riding when I was 16. So,
what was your first bike?
That shovelhead.
That shovelhead.
Yeah, it was a generator bottom shovelhead, jockey shift, 4-speed, rigid frame. Terrible first bike for a teenager.
No shit, man. No, yeah. So you had to learn how to wrench on it right away, man, because usually those things had a little bit of issues going on almost all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
That's funny. That's funny. Hey, listen, what were you doing before you started at Harley? What were some of your early career moves after high school?
My grandfather on my father's side owned an auto body shop, so I started working there when I was pretty young, and then my other grandfather had a machine shop and built engines, so I kind of did both. Before I went full time on the Harley stuff, I worked in a body shop as an estimator. I ended up being in management, and then left that to do this full time.
Gotcha. How did the career begin with Harley? How did that all come about? Going from a
Working,
body shop.
yeah, I mean, just working at the dealership. It's not even there anymore. Westminster Harley-Davidson, it's gone. But I just started doing that, and then I just really never stopped.
Did they send you to school for mechanics, or were you
Back
kind of
then,
learning
back
on the
then,
go?
no. I did end up going to NMI. I think in
Yeah.
2000. Um,
Okay.
then from there, I just went into the field and stuck with it.
What's up, One Gang? I used to think that if I spent big money on riding gear with a logo on the back, I was getting top quality. I gave Leather Up a shot. I wasn't sure at first, could I really get quality gear without spending a fortune? But after putting tens of thousands of miles on their jackets and vests, I had my answer. No busted zippers, no loose stitching, just solid, well-made gear that lasts. Leather Up carries trusted brands like Milwaukee Leather, Hot Leathers, and more, with gear for every rider and every budget. Plus, their customer service actually cares and picks up the phone, something rare these days. So do yourself a favor, check out leatherup.com. Whether you need jackets, vests, chaps, boots, helmets, or luggage, they've got you covered. And because you're part of the One Gang Worldwide family, use code CW20 at checkout for 20% off your entire order. Stop overpaying, gear up with Leather Up, and see the difference yourself.
Killer, man.
Right on. So, and you didn't just wrench. I mean, you trained technicians across Asia Pacific and managed teams, became a master tech. What were those years like professionally and personally? How was all that travel? Did you enjoy all that time?
To a certain extent, I mean, I had worked my way up through dealerships to, I was at a shop foreman slash service manager position at a small dealership in northern Arizona. And Harley had contacted me and said, "We have this program we want to try. Are you willing to try it?" And the program was, at the time, they didn't have any training centers, and Asia Pacific was the fastest growing market. Harley calls it AEM, Asia Emerging Markets.
Okay.
So the only way that those guys could get any factory training was to fly the students to the United States, which obviously is very expensive. So
Right.
the idea was send in an instructor that has technical and management experience and train staff on site in their own market, you know? So the
Yeah.
pilot was Vietnam. They were opening a store in Saigon, and I flew out there. I was there for I think 50 days, and
Wow.
got the dealership all set up, and got the doors open, and got the staff as up to speed as I could in that time. And then the owner of that dealership reported back to Harley that he was very happy with it. And at that point, I was never a headcount employee for Harley. I was a contractor, but I did that for
Killer.
5 years. So Harley would line up 10 months worth of work, and I'd be overseas for 10 months, and then I had 2 months off where I would come home. It was a
Yeah.
really cool
What was that experience like? What was that experience? Because I mean, you're relatively a young dude at this point in time, and you're
Yeah.
getting a chance to see some of the world that most people have never dreamed of. And
Yeah.
so, to take us a little bit into that, like, what was your day in the life of?
It was a really great experience, and I met some really great people. But I did work my ass off when I was in country. You know, like
Sure.
I would usually go 6 or 7 days a week because you have such a finite amount of time to train. You know, so I would try to maximize it. But it was really really interesting. Before that, I had never been out of the country except Canada and Mexico, which kind of doesn't count. So You know,
Right.
to go somewhere where you're the foreigner, it kind of changes your perception of things back home. Um, and it was cool,
Definitely.
like as far as the culture goes, because here we see Harleys every day, everywhere, to the point that half the time
Right.
we don't even acknowledge them. You know, but over there, in a lot of the countries I was in, because of taxes and duties and just the way that the economies are structured, you're dealing with like the top 3% of a country's wealth.
Right.
So everyone, when they see a Harley, they freak out. So it was kind of cool to see that in real time, you know, because like the first time I was in Vietnam, part of my contract was that they had to provide me somewhere to stay and they had to provide me transport. So usually they would just issue me a bike out of the fleet or whatever.
Great.
And first time I was in Vietnam, they gave me an ultra limited low. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. What a shit. But everywhere I would park that thing, it would draw a crowd. And I'm like,
Of course.
back home, we don't even turn our head to look at these things, you know? So culturally, like motorcycle culture in those countries is really, really cool because they're super fired up about it.
What's your age at this point in time?
31, 32.
31. You married at this time or no?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually,
You are.
my wife
Okay.
at the time, she had worked with me at dealerships before. And when I went to that first thing in Vietnam, I kind of screwed myself because I did kind of everything. You know, like I was only
Right.
supposed to train like the technicians and the service managers, and then I got there and the dealership was still under construction, and I had pallets of parts everywhere. I go, "Are you guys gonna get shelves?" And they were like, "Well, doesn't Harley give us that?" And no. So like, I had to set the parts department up. I had to set up contracts for
Wow.
consumables, you know, Loctite, brake clean, all that stuff. Like
Right.
a lot of those operators over there didn't realize that the motor company leaves a lot of it on you, you know. So I
Yep.
did all that. And in doing so, that kind of became the expectation. Like, oh, this guy's a one-stop shop. He can do fucking everything. It's great.
Right.
Um, which wasn't plausible in the long term, you know. So I ended up doing a deal with Harley where they didn't pay my wife, but they would pay for her transport, and she would help me run the frontline training, and I would do the
Yep.
technical and the back end training with the management.
Nice. Nice. What was your favorite spot at that time? All the travel that you did, what was your favorite place that you really enjoyed?
It kind of depends on. I have a lot of people ask me that. Now it kind of depends on like as it relates to what. Like Hong Kong is super fun if you want to go down to the party district and drink and fuck around, and it's easy to
Right.
navigate because everybody speaks a little bit of English.
Okay.
Vietnam is beautiful, and I think in America a lot of people don't realize how cool Vietnam is. People are super friendly,
Sure.
cheap. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. North Thailand's really cool. Singapore is cool, but it's uptight. Yeah, I went to a lot of cool places, and I'm grateful that I had the
Nice.
opportunity to do that.
Yeah, no doubt. So at what point did you know it was time to walk away from the corporate world and start something of your own?
It was. I mean, I did that job. My contract came up for renewal, and after basically living in a hotel for 5 years, with the exception of 2 months a year, I was kind of burnt out on it. So
Yeah.
a headhunter hit me up, and he was like, "Hey, I have this great job in Michigan." And he sent me the pay plan and cost of living and all that. So I did a Skype interview. Keep in mind, I've never fucking been to Michigan.
Right.
And
I know
I
you're
did,
California kid.
yeah, I did the Skype interview out of Guam where it was fucking 90 degrees
Wow.
and raining. I took the job, never went to Michigan, never nothing. So I fly home, load all my shit, go out there. It was like February, and I left Phoenix, and it was like 73 degrees, and I got to Michigan, and it was 12.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I fucked up. So
Jeez.
I was an invited builder on the hot bike tour that year. So I stayed in Michigan long enough to do the hot bike tour, and then took a job at Buddy Stubbs in Phoenix and moved home.
Got it. So what you took in Michigan, was it for a Harley-Davidson dealership?
Yeah, it was a Harley-Davidson dealership. They were looking for a service manager. Um, so I took the job, and everywhere I've been a service manager, I've always taken my toolbox and my lift and all that because, I can work on
Right,
motorcycles.
right. You
So
can do
it's
your
never
own
bad to
thing, of
have an
course.
extra. Yeah, at the time I had a tabletop mill and a tabletop lathe. So everywhere I worked, I would always take my equipment and help in that fashion too. So I did that service manager job. I think I was there in all like 9 months, and then I took the job in Arizona and moved home.
Danny, let me ask you, you were talking before Ben gets to the next question. You had mentioned you had moved out there long enough to finish the hot bike tour invite. At this point in time, with you working so much and traveling all around for Harley, then kind of coming back home, contract ends, you take this gig. Were you building bikes still at the same time? Or like, how did hot bike come to you when you're kind of away all the time?
I would work on bikes when I was home because all my tools and my lift were in my garage. But
Right.
I used to do back when Hot Bike was under the Bonnier Corporation. They used to do a series called Tales from the Dyno, and I was the person that did all of the dyno tuning for that series. So they would
Right.
schedule a year's worth of issues, and I would do it in like a week when I was home. So I would fly home from overseas. I'd go out to Irvine, and I'd spend like 4 days in the dyno and get a year's worth of content locked in, and then
Yep.
so I've always had a good relationship with Hot Bike. I still do. I'm the technical editor for what is Hot Bike now, which actually is a better Hot Bike in my opinion than what it was before.
Right.
That's cool. So transitioning to MotorWitch wasn't overnight. I mean, you first launched Leading Edge Performance, and then you co-founded the Collective Phoenix. What lessons came out of those early days? What did you pull from that led into your career, helped you with your future?
Okay, so the MotorWitch thing that actually came from overseas. I did not choose that nickname, and I actually think it's fucking stupid. But here we are.
Oh, wait,
Right.
When I was in Vietnam, this is my third or fourth trip. I had built 120R for the guy that owned the dealership, and it was the biggest motorcycle engine that had ever been in the country. So they had done like TV press releases, and the newspaper came in and interviewed
Wow.
me. It was wild.
No shit.
And in the newspaper article, if you directly translated it, it said he is the Motor Witch. So
Okay.
all the guys in Vietnam started calling me Motor Witch, and it was funny, haha. And then at the time, Jeff Holt worked for Hot Bike, and he flew out for an event that we were doing in Saigon. And he was like, "What's with the Motor Witch thing?" And I told him, and he was like, "Dude, that's fucking gold. You should run with it." And I go, "It's fucking dumb." And he was like, "Just trust me." So that's how that came to be.
Got it.
Leading Edge had started when I was at Buddy Stubbs. They were a company that was doing trophy truck engines and things like that. And they had reached out to me and asked me if I could design the motorcycle stuff for them. So I took that as like a second job, and I was doing that.
Right.
And then when COVID hit, Buddy Stubbs eliminated the service manager position. So I just went full time doing Leading Edge and kind of opened the collective with two other people. And then the collective got weird. And it just made more sense after it ended up being just me at that point. It was too confusing. You got the collective, you got MotorWitch, you got Leading Edge. I just killed everything off and made it all which industry just for brand clarity because it's so confusing.
Gotcha. All right. So I guess in your early days with those other businesses, even though you brought them in all into MotorWitch, did you pick up any of the kind of entrepreneurial skills early on that you had, or did you develop those over time sort of organically?
Sort of organically. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work with and become friends with some really high level business operators, way out of my league. So I've been fortunate to have people that I can call and run things by that will give me an honest answer. So that's been a huge help in moving forward and trying to solidify the brand and just make everything flow better.
Gotcha.
When did MotorWinch launch? When did it launch? When did you officially make it a business?
I mean, I had a business entity of MotorWitch Industries for quite a while,
Mm-hmm.
just for tax reasons and things of that nature.
Right.
As far as killing off all the other brands and launching them, that was January of 24 was the year that
24.
I
Okay.
killed everything else off and just made it all MotorWitch Industries.
Got
Gotcha.
it. Got it.
Why do you dislike the name so much? I'm sorry, I just wanted to interrupt and get that.
I just always thought it was fucking goofy, but I mean, people seem to like it. It's recognizable. I just kind of learned to live with it, but initially I was like, that's dumb. Why would I do that?
Right. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Just curious.
That's all right. That's all right. I get it. No, that's cool. That's cool. That's funny. Hey, Danny, one of the things that we like to talk about on the show is, you and I chatted about this when we first spoke, was the fact that, we kind of live in the instant gratification world, right? Everybody always sees the final products, the final builds. Talk to us about some of the sacrifices as a small business, that what people don't see behind the Instagram posts, the long hours, financial stress, sometimes even second guessing yourself with certain things because you've been in a corporate structure for prior to that, making kick-ass money. You took a big chance. Walk us through that part when you left and you started your own gig and all the shit that in between.
I mean, it's definitely sketchy when you first start, because like you're looking at your savings account, you're like, oh, I'm good. I'd run for a year. 4 months into it, you're like, well, fuck, I got $8, like
Yeah.
that was what I'm gonna
Right.
do, right? It's definitely scary getting over the hump. And I was unfortunate with some of the people that were around me at the time. So, you get these setbacks and then it's like, you keep telling yourself, I'm going to turn the corner and then you don't, so
Yeah.
it's definitely tough. And like right now it's me and my partner, Josh, who focuses mainly on the social media and the parts side of the business. And then I have Katie that answers the phones and kind of schedules and stuff. And then I have an apprentice mechanic. So
Nice.
right now I've got a project for the Boys and Girls Club with Harley Corporate. I've got a bike for Jimmer from Slipknot with Harley Corporate. I got to do my bike for the Hot Bike Tour. And as far as the actual physicality of fixing the motorcycles and getting them out, I'm mostly it. My apprentice is great. She does a great job. She works hard. She grinds every day, but she's not a bike builder yet. So, on all these big things, I have limited help. So it's super stressful. I mean, I'm in here 70 hours a week usually. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Even now, like
you sorry, go ahead.
yeah, like even now, I mean, there's times cash flow wise, you think you're good and then something pops up and then you're not good. So
Right.
I'm certainly not in a position where I'm like, well, fuck, how am I going to pay rent? That stopped about 2 years ago, but it's still, it's still a struggle in being a small business. Even with insurance, like when little shit happens, it's easier to eat $4 or $5 grand than it is try to file a claim. So, it's definitely a balancing act, and it's stressful, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's worth it.
Yeah. Thanks for that honest answer. Your apprentice, did she go to school or was she just, how did you find the,
she's still currently in school. She comes to work as soon as she gets off. She's on the morning shift, and then she works till the end of the day, and then she works all day Saturday.
Man, I love to hear that. That's cool, man. That she's doing it. That's the unfortunate part. We've got some friends of ours in the industry who are teachers, instructors at these schools, man, and they say that enrollment has gone to shit. So good to see, females stepping in, man, and filling these positions. Hopefully, she works out for you.
Yeah, no, she's been great. It's a tough industry. Like I've always wanted to be part of helping train a great female mechanic. And a lot of times you run into issues where they're either super smart and not strong enough, or they're strong enough and not smart enough.
Right.
Like in these schools, they just want to collect the tuition, right? They're not saying, hey,
Absolutely.
Right.
you can't rack a bagger. You can't test ride a bagger. They don't tell them that we push these bitches everywhere. I mean, it's a rarity in a dealership that you ride a motorcycle, except for the test ride. You push it to your lift. You
That's
push
right.
it over your lift. You pull
That's
it
right.
off, walk it out the building. So there are things that people don't really want to talk about, right? With her, she can rack small stuff. She is not a big girl. I've made peace with the fact that I'm going to have to rack baggers for her and test ride them. But I would rather have a quality technician that gives a fuck, that listens, than have someone that can test ride a bagger.
Yeah.
What do you see in as far as, I mean, owning your own business and a small business and bringing apprentice people in? What do you see in strength wise that the schools are doing and what they're not doing? You know what I'm saying? Like before it was all sound, right? So we didn't have shit to hook stuff up to. You'd have to hear it and realize what it was with the old Evos and the twin cams and all that stuff. Now you've got a lot of electronics in there. So obviously with the schools, they're teaching a little bit more regarding that. Are you seeing a difference?
Yeah, that's a big difference. I mean, this is going to probably piss people off, but MMI is a pile of shit.
Yeah.
The training is fucking worthless, and I'm experiencing it firsthand.
Wow.
And I hate to say it, but from my experience, it's true. And the industry has shifted where you don't really have techs anymore. You've got parts hangers.
Yeah.
And that sucks. I mean, it's nice that on these new bikes, you can plug them into a digital technician, and the digital technician will basically say, "Hey, dickhead, replace the switch pack." That's super convenient, right? What happens when you get an older one where there's 11 miles of wires in there and you got to find the one spot in the backbone where it's pinched? They don't have the skills necessary to do that. And it's not their fault. It's because nobody teaches it anymore.
So are you spending time doing that with her?
Yeah. Yeah.
You are. So you're basically giving her a whole new education.
Yeah.
A real world education, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me to apprentice before, and I've always said no. Because if I do apprentice somebody, I'm gonna teach them everything I know. A lot of times high level mechanics don't want to share the knowledge, and I've never understood that, because if we don't share it at some point, we're all gonna die and nobody can. Right. So I've always been real open, even when people DM me or ask for help or whatever. I try to help everybody. But I mean, none of this shit is black magic. There's just a lot of tricks that I've picked up throughout my career because someone smarter than me showed me at the time. Right. So I'm teaching her all that I know that she wants to learn. And so far she wants to learn all of it. So, I mean, she's going to end up being a really good technician.
Awesome,
There's not a whole lot of people out there that are willing to do that anymore. And it's just fucking wild to me. Like, why?
Yeah, it is, brother.
Why won't you help somebody?
And that shows you the value of an apprenticeship too. For anybody out there listening that's in school, that should be priority number one.
That's right, man. Get yourself to a shop that's going to help you get better.
Yeah, I mean, I did say that the curriculum is worthless, and for the most part, they're not doing anybody any favors, but it is helpful. I mean, they get a basic tool knowledge out of it. If they're gonna drop one moving it, I'd rather them drop one at school than here. So I mean, it's not. I guess it's not worthless. It's just not worth what they're charging for it. How's that?
Right. Yeah, no, that's excellent advice. Danny, let me ask you a question. What would you say to somebody maybe there's a big difference between dealership and a small shop. Anybody who's green will usually come in, right? They'll do tires, they'll do oil changes, that type of stuff, more of the grind work where your experienced service techs get the billable hours and they kind of have more of the real hands-on, more stronger work based on their experience. What would you say to like somebody who's, maybe in school now, like where should they aim their job search to try to get into a dealership or try to get into a smaller shop where they have hands-on?
I think that really depends on what they want out of their career. I mean, a lot of times people start doing this and they quit because unless you come up with some kind of a widget, like a lot of industry guys have done, where you can sell the widget at a good profit margin and sell a lot of widgets.
Yep.
You're not gonna stack a bunch of cash and retire doing this shit. And then
Right, of course.
you've got a huge expense in tools. So I mean, it's a tough career. You really have to love doing it to stick with it. Because if you're doing it for the money, you're not going to hang out long enough to get very good at it, in my opinion.
That's right.
Which doesn't
No,
mean
it's the truth.
But
that is true.
you know, I mean, if someone that's getting into this, they want to build engines and do speed shop shit, maybe cut your teeth at a dealer, but you're never gonna be doing that shit at the dealership. I went to, when I was at Stubbs to keep my master, I had to fly to an engine building class in Milwaukee. There were 10 of us in the class, and I was the service manager at the time. But at that particular time, I was the only master tech at the dealership. So I had been a master tech for so long at that point, Harley had expired a couple of my classes because I had taken them so long ago. So I had to go take this engine building class again. And we're sitting there in Milwaukee at the mothership, and the instructor goes, "How many of you guys have split cases?" I was the only dude in the room that had split cases.
Wow.
Out of 10
wow.
master techs, 1 out of 10 had split cases. So at a dealership, it's more of a parts swap than it is actually building stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not shit talking. I'm just saying it, if somebody in their career wanted to be an engine builder and build speed shop stuff, maybe cut your teeth at bullshit. But by and large, you're not going to get to do that in a dealership setting unless the dealership has a speed shop, like Durango has 4 corners.
Right. When you went to this engine class, because you were the master tech to keep your license, was that for the M8s?
Yeah.
For the M8. Yep.
Hey guys, the show will be back in 1 minute right after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, One Gang, tired of feeling like your butt's taking more of a beating than your bike on those long rides? Introducing Butt Buffer, the ultimate solution to saddle soreness. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These cushions are made from medical-grade viscoelastic polymer, scientifically crafted to eliminate pressure points and keep your circulation flowing. No more numb nuts or numb butts. And here's the best part. Butt Buffer cushions are made right here in the US for the last 30 years. From Harleys to Hondas, we've got a cushion to fit your ride perfectly. Plus, with styles ranging from sleek pebble polymer to luxurious sheepskin, there's a Butt Buffer for every rider's style. Get your Butt Buffer today at buttbuffer.com. That's buttbuffer.com. Your butt will thank you, and you'll ride longer and happier. We've got your butt covered.
So when they made that change, they sent you there to learn. Okay, got it. All right, thanks, Matt.
So once MotorWitch Industries was born, how did you begin building a reputation that earned you the kind of respect that you got an invite to Born Free and recently to the 2025 Hot Bike Tour? Were there any specific builds that flipped the switch, or was it a slow and steady burn to get that exposure?
I think it was slow and steady. I mean, because I worked for Harley as a contractor for so long, I have contacts at Harley. I think more than anything, it has to do with the fact that I've always kept my word. I've always stood behind my word.
That's huge, yeah.
And I'm consistent and I'm honest. I think that's really the biggest piece of it. I had a bike in here that I built, and the engine scattered at like 500 miles, and the customer had spent a lot of money. And what happened was the big end bearing and the S&S crank went out, and S&S said, sorry about that. Here's all the parts that we manufacture that were in the build. But it blew up a bunch of other people's parts and my parts. So I ended up needing like $8,000 to rebuild that engine.
Holy smokes.
But it's not the customer's
Holy
fault.
smokes.
I mean, granted, it's not my fault. I didn't build the crank. But how do you go to a customer that just spent like $30,000 and be like, hey, man, engine blew up. Not my fault. So here's a bill for $8,000 at my cost. You can't do that.
Right.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of shops that would have done that. So,
yeah,
I think standing behind your work and keeping your word to your customer or your partners in the industry, like with the motor company, if I'm doing a project with them and I have a timeline for content and assets, I get the bike done on time. I provide everything I was asked to provide on time. Shit like that matters. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't operate that way.
And as much as it sucks that that guy's bike blew up, you know, that's a bad experience. But the fact that you took care of it, did the right thing, you got a customer for life there. So you've built a
Absolutely.
relationship, and he's going to tell his buddies about that too.
Yeah. It's, just treat people right. And a lot of times, and that's one of the things, like doubling back to when you're a small shop, how stressful is it? I couldn't really afford to eat that engine, but what am I going to do? Tell the customer you got to pay for it? It's not his fault. So,
right. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously this industry is brutal at times, no question about it, especially when shit's out of your control when it comes to stuff like that. You ever thought coming from traveling, doing all this crazy shit for a big dealership, big name, you ever thought about throwing in the towel with the small business shit and going back to it? Or have you been basically just said, fuck it, I'm going down with the ship, I'm going to build this thing into an empire?
There were certainly a couple times when I was like, man, fuck this. I'd go get a job making 150 grand a year and not have to figure payroll
I know, easy
shit out. But at this point, I'm just going to ride till the wheels fall off. I'm not going to quit. I don't want to have to go back to work for somebody where they're like, oh, well, you can't take this day off or whatever. Not that I even take days off at this point, but I don't like being told what to do. So I'm just going to stick
of course,
with this.
somebody telling you.
Yeah, I'm going to make this the biggest.
You're amazing at this anyway, brother. I've been following your journey for quite some time, man. You're not only an amazing builder, man, you're a fucking phenomenal mechanic. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
So Danny, here's a fun question. What separates your approach from what we see in the rest of the scene today, and what defines a MotorWitch bike or build?
I have always focused on function. Like I've always been the make it fast, make it reliable, make it handle correctly, stop correctly. I've never been into big wheels. I've never been into goofy paint jobs. And that's probably why I don't really have a whole bunch of awards on the wall either, because I don't care if you like it or not. I'm going to build what I think is cool. And if people like it, they like it. And if they don't, they don't. I mean, that last Born Free bike I did, I had said in the video, you're going to love this bike or hate it. But, it's fast and it's reliable and it handles correctly and it stops. It has all of the function that it needs. I mean, the shiny shit to me is always a secondary. When I'm doing stuff, like for me, when I'm asked to build something, it's always, I'll build whatever the customer wants in a customer setting. If they want a goofy lace paint job or whatever, no problem. But if I'm building something that is like a build that I got asked to do for an event or something, it's always function first.
Yeah, and you do what you like, not what's popular out there or what's going to bring home trophies all the time. Yeah. No, that's awesome, man.
We just came up with some new stickers. We're going to have shirts soon. Paint is not performance.
Nice.
You go to these performance shows, and it's a bike with a pipe and an air cleaner and a $15,000 paint job. Explain to me how that's a performance show when there's
you know what saying I never got, and I hear a lot of like Europeans, they always talk like that. I've had some friends who come down from Germany to Daytona, and they go, chrome won't get you home. I never got that. I mean, I'm like, dude, there's some beautiful chrome fucking bikes that drive just as good as blacked out bikes. I don't know why that saying's even in place. But hey, listen, you're known for blending super high performance bikes. I mean, and with reliable, as you were talking about. How do you balance that urge to push boundaries with both the discipline to keep your builds streetable and dependable?
It's tough, and I'm not gonna lie, it's been a lot of trial and error. I have blown a lot of shit up.
Really?
I've had people ask me like, "Where'd you go to engineering school?" I fucking didn't. I went to high school. I've not gone to college. I've not gone to engineering school. I've learned from talented people and taught myself the rest. So, I have blown up a ton of shit trying to figure things out. You just got to figure out from a mathematical standpoint, complex math, but like piston speeds and rod to stroke ratios. There's a lot involved. But once you figure it out, you can replicate it. And at that point, assuming that all of your parts don't have any issues in manufacturing, if you assemble them correctly and the customer doesn't straight up abuse them, they'll stay together.
Yeah. So this kind of lends to my last question, but as the custom scene continues to evolve with social media, trends, influencers, all that stuff, how do you stay grounded in craft and purpose, not hype and hashtags?
I have someone else run social media.
Yeah,
I
that's the way to do it, man.
I hate social media for a lot of reasons, but I mean, I have my own page, which is MotorWitch.
Mhm.
For any of you that have ever gone through and looked at it, like, I don't post my personal life on there because
Hmm.
I spend so much of my life at work in front of the whole world. I want my personal life to be mine. So
That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm not posting that I'm out eating somewhere or who I'm with or what I'm doing because that's my personal life and I don't have much of it. So from a business standpoint, if you look at the MotorWitch Industries page, it's far more active than my MotorWitch page. Um, but we just really focus on running our own program, and we've been
Yeah.
fortunate enough to build some bikes for some recognizable people, and we've been fortunate enough to do bikes with and for the motor company. Um, and I think that's helped grow the business. But we've always
Hmm.
kind of stayed true to what we do. I mean, our videos
Yeah.
are very basic. We don't have editing software and crazy shit. It's usually me with a cheap magnetic microphone standing in front of the American flag just talking. A
Yeah,
lot of
it's
people,
badass though, man.
yeah, and I've had a lot of people ask me to do more tech videos, which I need to start doing more of. I keep saying I will, and we're just so busy I haven't. But I'm
Right.
going to try to start doing at least 1 or 2 tech videos a month and just try to be more active. It's typically not in my personality to do that, but I think it
Hmm.
needs to happen, and I think it's good for the business as well. Um, but
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's great because you can get. I mean, with your knowledge, I mean, you got a fucking background. I mean, you're a master technician. So, with that kind of a skill set, for people maybe outside of Phoenix area that wouldn't be able to. I mean, you can do a YouTube channel where people subscribe and pay to and see how things are done, especially with all the new stuff, technology, which kind of spins me a little bit into this next question. What are you seeing right now? You've been in this industry a long time, from all levels, from the corporate level to a small business level. What are you seeing now that's kind of getting you excited as far as what's happening with the industry? And let's go to that one first, and I'll ask you the second one.
with what, like the aftermarket or with Harley corporate?
Just the motorcycle industry in general. What are you seeing, like, from your eyes? What's going on? Both. It could be from the parts section. It could be from the bills that are coming out that people are concentrated on, stuff like that. Just what are you seeing that you're liking?
Um, I mean, I'm excited to see the hot bike tour come back again. Um, because that was always a fun event, and it was always like about riding with people that you probably would never get to meet. You got to hang out with the guys that built the bikes.
That's cool.
Which is what this is going to be this year.
Yeah,
So I'm excited about that, and all the guys that Jordan invited this year are pretty much all killers. So there's going to be some cool stuff.
killers.
Um,
Yep.
that's super exciting to me. Outside of that, man, I feel like the industry is almost a little bit stagnant. I,
Are you saying stagnant because it's just such a FXR craze that everybody's doing everything FXR?
well, you guys know how it is. Everything cycles, right? The big wheel baggers,
Right.
the choppers, the pro streets,
Yep.
it all cycles. I've never wanted to follow the cycle. I've just kind of stayed in my lane because I mean choppers are cool, but I'm not a chopper guy. I don't like big wheel baggers, so I'm not going to do those.
Right.
I've just stuck true to what I'm into, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm
I mean, you're
stubborn.
you're pure performance, man. You're a performance guy. So if you look at any of the builds that you do, man, your bikes can whip it, man. They're screamers.
And
Yeah,
they stand out.
and that is encouraging to see more of the performance stuff starting to be considered cool, you know.
Yeah.
Harley's this new Milwaukee 8, this Gen 2 Milwaukee 8 is
Yeah.
far more capable than the early one. And the early one was the best push rod motor they've ever made, in my opinion. So this Gen
Really?
2, we're starting to get into how we can make those go faster. And from a mechanical standpoint, they behave totally differently because of the redesign on the heads. The Gen 1s, if you take an air cleaner off, the throttle body's down and offset. So the air has to go into the throttle body uphill and around a corner. These new ones, it's a straight shot right into the cylinder heads. So from a mechanical standpoint, like with valve timing, they behave completely differently. So I think we're going to be able to squeeze way more power out of these Gen 2s with a little bit less effort, if that makes sense.
When did the Gen 2s come out?
23 and a half CVO was the first one. And then all 24 touring are Gen 2 and all 25 big twins are Gen 2.
All 25 big twins. Gotcha. All right, cool.
It's presented some tuning issues because Harley changed the entire platform on them. So Dynajet has just now released tuning capability for those Gen 2s. So we're going to start getting into that here pretty soon. Previously, you had to replace the ECM, which these new ones are, it sounds wild, but the bikes actually are cloud-based. They can uplink to a server. So
That is crazy.
Oh, shit.
you know, if you swap the ECM out, you lose that capability. If it needs an update, you got to put the stock ECM back in it. So it's doable, but you know, being able to use Power Vision on it is going to be a game changer, and that should be available here shortly, probably within the next couple of weeks.
Man, technology is fucking crazy, man. Crazy.
Yep. So for every tech builder or dreamer listening who's stuck in a safe job but dreaming of going independent, what's your honest advice that you give them before they make the jump?
Come up with a solid game plan and surround yourself with the right people. And when you execute it, don't hesitate. Because the hesitation is what's going to make you crash. So come up with your plan, surround yourself with the right people, and execute the plan.
Yeah, and that plan helps mitigate that fear, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been the kind of person, I always try to figure out what the absolute worst case scenario is and solve that. So anything less than the worst case scenario is kind of a win. Plan for the worst.
Do you
hope for the
feel?
best.
Yeah. Do you feel these young guys would be best off getting more hands-on experience before jumping on their own, so they are able to kind of tackle more stuff? Or do you feel like, hey, if you feel like doing it and you feel like you got enough knowledge, go do it? Like, what's your take on it?
I certainly would not suggest trying to open your own shop if mechanically you're not squared away. And certainly if you do that, don't offer a service you can't do. Because if you fuck up, you're eating it. So, you have the money. Can you eat $3,000 if you make a mistake? If you can't, you probably shouldn't open the doors yet.
Yeah, awesome advice, man. So what's next for MotorWitch Industries, man?
We're working on a lot of new parts. A while back, I had purchased a company called Full Grip Moto. They made lighting brackets for Baja to put them on road glides. I'm friends with the guy that owned that company, and he owned multiple companies and had contacted me and said, hey, I can't run this one. I don't have the bandwidth right now. Do you want to buy it? So I bought that out, and the purpose of that was to have a functional known parts website. So we're continuing to offer the products that Full Grip made, but we're adding, I have a very good partnership with Rigid Industries. So we're adding a lot of rigid lighting options to it. And just coming out with new stuff. We've got a new air cleaner that's about ready. Footboards. With my cylinders, they're cost prohibitive. They're very expensive to manufacture. And if I'm being totally honest, you can get the exact same displacement from S&S for about half the price.
Yeah.
It's a cast cylinder with a basic piston, but you end up with the same displacement. You'll make more power with mine because of the cooling aspects of it. But I wanted to have parts that were available from the brand that were reachable for everybody, not just, a certain section of the market. So we're working on timer covers, derby covers, floorboards, lighting options, shit like that. That's branded from MotorWitch that we've designed here in house that we've made.
Yeah.
But that are more attainable for guys that are just first starting to get into the motorcycle world and they're into it and they like the brand. Like, not everybody can afford a $3,000 top end.
Right.
We're looking at manufacturing high quality American parts that everybody can buy if they want.
You starting to kind of try to transition into both facets of the business where you have the performance side and then you have the part side too, which is, I mean, it's really, in all reality, if you talk to, we've had Paul Yaffe, Stacha Kraus on our show, Brian Clark. I mean, they've all got big in the industry, one, because, obviously they're super talented guys, but in addition to, they branched off, they were doing both parts and the performance side. And I see that's kind of where MotorWitch is heading, right?
That's the goal. I mean, as I mentioned previously, it's a really small team here. So you had asked about the difference between life and social media. Like, we probably look rather large on social media if you didn't have any background or backstory. And we're not. It's 4 people. That's it. So
wow,
it's tough. It's tough to make moves fast. And I've always been the one. I don't want to be the first one to put it out there. I want to put the best one out there. When these Gen 2s launched, a bunch of dudes were just scrambling, trying to be the first one to do this and the first one to do that. And after doing a bunch of testing and studying, shit that works on the old ones doesn't necessarily work on the new one, right? So, we really focus on when it goes to market, it's the best we can do with it. It's not just oh fuck, well, we were first. Well, what good does that do if it doesn't work right?
Hey, Danny, can I ask you a question, man? This is for listeners, especially now with guys who are coming out of the twin cam world of the 103s and the Screaming Eagle 110s, now going into the Milwaukee 8s, whatever. What's the biggest difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2 in regards to reliability? Is there, like, because you got a lot of 107s out on the market now for sale, right? So guys maybe who got a little bit more money, they're looking to maybe pick up a Street Glide or pick up whatever and then get it all customized, maybe do some engine work to it. Can you give advice to the listeners as far as like what possibly to kind of stay away from, what gravitate to? I think it'd be pretty educational because I don't think a lot of people know too much about the M8s.
Yeah, I mean, the Gen 1 M8 is, in my opinion, by far the best pushrod motor Harley ever made. And I mean, a lot of people had issues early on with the oil pumps and all that stuff. That's all been resolved. And the motors, when they're done correctly and serviced correctly, they run a really long time. So longevity wise, there's no issue there. On the Gen 2s, predominantly all the changes came in the cylinder heads. So theory of operation down below, it's, basically the same. So I can't see that these Gen 2s are going to be problematic or not last like the Gen 1s did. Theoretically, most of them should last longer because they have a rather sophisticated cooling system. With coolant where you don't have that big fucking nasty ass radiator that we're used to seeing. They had those 2 big
right.
ones. They've really done a good job in the design department paring all that down so it's not so unattractive, but you still get the function out of it. So, I mean, the cooler you can keep it, the more horsepower you can squeeze out of it. So, these new engines are exciting, and we're really working on trying to get the most out of them that we can. I mean, there are certain builds that I do even now. I tell people, like, look, this isn't a forever motor. Like, if you beat on this thing, it's going to blow up. Not because I didn't build it right, because it's what you ask for, right?
That's right.
You ask for a drag bike engine, you can't expect to to get 50,000 miles out of it. It's a drag bike engine. It's purpose built.
That's right.
So you can get longevity out of them, even with a lot of horsepower. It's actually in the shop right now. It's 201 horse, 204 foot-pounds of torque on pump gas and a soft tail.
Good God.
It's one of my 143s, and the customer is not gentle. He's got about 8,000 miles on it, and I mean, we checked the oil and changed all the fluid and really stay on top of it, but it's staying together, and it has no compression or leak down issues. It's just a nasty, nasty motorcycle. So you can get a lot of power out of these things and keep them together. It's not cheap to do it, but it can be done.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. What kind of cubic inches is Harley? Actually, before we get into the speed round, you're doing something with Harley-Davidson now. Can you tell our audience a little bit?
Yeah, I've got 2 projects going with Harley right now. One is a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. Harley donated us a motorcycle. I've torn it down with 7 kids from the Boys and Girls Club. 4 of the kids are from the Four Corners area. 3 of them are from Arizona. We're going to put that bike together. It'll be a full custom, and we're raffling it off. All of the money goes back to the Boys and Girls Club to help build better shop programs for the kids.
That's killer.
So that's been a really fun project. I mean, I'm a big believer that kids need to know they don't have to go to college, right? I mean,
absolutely.
You can be a mechanic, you can be a welder, you can be an HVAC person. Like, you don't have to go to college to make a good living. So I feel like shop classes are dying off, and I think we're doing a huge disservice to young people in that. So my idea when I pitched it to Harley originally was to do it with high school, and we could not find a high school that would do it with us. Every one of them was like, nope.
Insane. That is insane.
We ended up doing it with the Boys and Girls Club, which I'm actually grateful for. The kids are super cool, and the people that I'm working with at the Boys and Girls Club are just great people. So it's been a good experience. We'll get this one buttoned up, and I believe we're giving it away in December. So once we have the website and all that squared away for tickets, I'll be posting about that, as will Harley. And
all right, cool.
Club. The other one is a bike that we're building for Jim Root from Slipknot. We're doing a 2025 CVO Road Glide ST, and we're going full send on it, powder coat the frame. It's going to have a 143. We're just going to make it as nasty as we possibly can.
That is sick. That's sick. That's cool, man. That's cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for filling us in on that. Yeah. All right, man. You listen. You ready for 15-round speed round questions here? Here's the deal. You got 2 minutes on the clock, right? If you answer correctly, then obviously that's awesome. But if you pass the 2 minutes, you send us a MotorWitch signed photo, and just saying to Surgeon Ben, so we can hang it on our shop here in our podcast studio, so we always have it there. Deal?
I can do that. I can send you one anyway. Let's see.
All right, that would be. All right, let's do it. All right, Ben, 2 minutes on the clock, please.
Yep, got it.
All right. Favorite Harley engine of all time?
Milwaukee 8.
Milwaukee 8, okay. What's one tool you can't live without?
One tool?
Mm-hmm.
My small 3/8 drive ratchet. It's a 1/4-inch drive body with a 3/8 head.
Okay. If you could build a bike for any person, dead or alive, who would it be?
That's a tough one. Probably George Strait.
George Strait, nice. That's a good one. I like that.
Very cool.
Chrome or Cerakote?
Cerakote.
Okay.
My whole
dream road
Cerakote.
Dream road trip destination with one of your own bikes.
Probably Montana. I love Montana. So I would just, if it was possible, take time off and just ride to Montana and just ride around Montana.
So beautiful out there, man. All right. What's worse, electrical gremlin or parts on back order?
Back order, because I have no control over that. I'll find the gremlin. Back order, you're just fucked.
Yep. How shitty was it in fucking after COVID, huh? That was
Oh,
awful.
dude.
We couldn't get anything.
No, it was horrible.
Well, that sucked. Yeah. All right. What band gets you hyped in the shop?
Usually Slipknot.
Slipknot. Okay. So you know those guys personally?
I know Jim well. I've met the rest of the guys in the band, but Jim and I have gotten to be friends throughout the process of building that
That's
last Pipe
cool.
4. He's just a great guy. So on a
What do
personal
you think of the
level,
new drummer?
he's insanely talented.
Yeah, just brutal, right?
Yeah, he is really good.
Now you're up Ben's wheelhouse now with this stuff with this type of music. So I'm more old school metal, man. I'm a Maiden, Priest, DL stuff, but he's all into the well, what's your favorite band again? I forgot.
Lamb of God.
Lamb of God, that's right. All right. Would you rather build a performance for performance or for looks?
Performance.
First thing you do after finishing a build.
Test ride it.
Good. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Most underrated motorcycle in Harley history.
Underrated.
Underrated.
I'd have to say the new Sportster with the Rev Max in it, that little Nightster.
I know that thing is pretty sick, man. I saw one on the road. I double took to it, man. This kid was parked on the side of me at the light, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool.
Everybody's overlooking that thing, and those Rev Max motors are fucking killers. Which I'm in the process of trying to figure out some stuff about those. Yeah, but I think a lot of people have just written it off. You know, especially a lot of the big twin people. You know, those things are rippers.
What kind of horsepower are you getting out of those things?
I got 120 out of one of them with a pipe and an air cleaner.
Holy smokes!
They don't make
that's a
they don't
light
make
bike.
it torque. I mean, they rev out like a sport bike. They redline it like 10.5, but they make all the horsepower.
Wow. Okay. Welding or wiring? Which one clears your mind more?
Wiring.
How many hours of sleep does a builder really need?
I don't know about need, but I get about 4 a night.
Yeah, me too, man. I used to be flaked that. All right. What's your go-to vice during crunch time? Coffee, beer, or chaos?
Chaos.
Captain Chaos?
Yeah.
All right. What's something people would be surprised to learn about you off the clock?
I really don't do anything. Like, to me, like, everybody wants to go out and get a beer. Like, I just want to go sit in the quiet. I by the time I'm done here, I'm fucking over it. So I just want to sit somewhere and be quiet.
And peace. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. All right. Last one. Describe MotorWitch Industries in 3 words.
Fair, fast, and reliable.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, 2 minutes and 1 second on the clock, so we get that signed picture for the office. So sorry, man. You couldn't do the 2 minutes, but we're stoked to have some memorabilia up here, man. But hey, in all sincerity, Danny, man, thanks, brother. Thanks for taking the time, man. I know you got so much on your plate right now between the store and the bikes you're building, all the projects you got going on, man. It's been awesome to hear your journey. Keep kicking ass out there. We're huge fans of yours, man. And you're one of the great guys in the industry. So keep up that amazing work.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate the opportunity. Great talking to you.
Definitely. Thank you, Danny. You're a real one. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See ya. All right.